Property companies, what else do you need to know? Hi, I'm Kimberly Shapcott, qualified chartered accountant, property investor and entrepreneur. Let's sit down and have a chat. Having done property training myself, I know the key focus on all of these trainings is all about property and buying property, renting property out, understanding licensing, understanding planning, and understanding all the different areas that you will be covering off from a refurb to the legals of doing your property business, which is amazing. However, we need to take a step back because in actual fact, having bought a property within a company, you're also now running a business. And when I say running a business, it's not just dealing with the property side of things that you need to be thinking about. It's also the fact that you are actually running a limited company. You're running a business. Yes, it's a property business, but it's a business. So on that basis, this means that we have more than just the property side of things to deal with. And actually, we've got a whole host of different things that we need to be considering as part of our property business, as part of the business itself. So I thought today I would talk a little bit about some of the areas you need to be considering as part of your business, and especially as you grow and expand your business, which will develop as you expand your portfolio or your sourcing business or your commercial developments or whatever aspect of property you go into. There will still be the business side of things that you need to think about and that you need to be running. So what areas do we need to be thinking about is probably the first question that comes to my mind. Now, the one I'm most familiar with is obviously the finance side of the business. Being an accountant and also running my own business, this is one of the areas that I am fully aware of. But I also run within my accountancy practice a whole other host of different areas. So what areas are those? Well, those are things like my HR, my staffing, my team, and all that side of things. We have the operation side of the business. So like buying a property, it's not just buying the property, job done. We've now got to operate it. We've now got to manage it. We've now got to make sure that that gas cert is done each year. We've got to make sure the EICR is done every 5 years. We've got to make sure that we've done the insurance each year. So there's all these operational aspects to running the business, not just I've bought the property, job done. We've also got the marketing aspect of the business. So this may be new investors, new tenants. It might be trying to bring in people who are selling properties. So there's a whole host of marketing depending what you are trying to draw into your business. And then the other side of things is your business development. How are you planning on developing your business? What is the business strategy? What is your marketing strategy? All of these pieces of the puzzle fit together to enable you to run your business. Now, I know when we all get started in our property company, we don't realise sometimes that there's all of these other aspects that we need to deal with. So let's have a quick go over some of these different areas, what you may need to think about. And if we need to dive into any of the other areas or you've got questions, please do leave a comment and we can dive into some of these areas as well to cover off what is the business side of running our property business, as well as the tax, the accounts side of things, because it all fits together to make you into a successful business entrepreneur, business property entrepreneur, to achieve the goals that you are trying to achieve when you originally set out in your business. So the finance side of things, because that is obviously my favourite, being an accountant. So finance is one of those areas that it kind of sometimes falls on the back radar because you kind of go, oh, I'm buying this property, I've got the bank, I'm paying these things out. But when you're a business owner, you now need to be thinking about your business records. So we're talking about things like making sure you are keeping things, the bank statements. You need to make sure that you're keeping some sort of records, whether that be on a spreadsheet or whether that be on some sort of software. Whatever software you choose, you may need to make sure it links with the bank. You may need to check it links with some of the operational side of things because you're doing serviced accommodation. You want your booking software to fit with your finance software, which then will ensure that you're fitting with your other software that you may be using. So you may need to make sure you've got the right ecosystem of apps, of softwares to ensure that it actually fits together and works for you smoothly. And if you're not sure what works, check out some of the other people out there who are sharing their stories and how they're doing it to find what may be working for them. Unfortunately, sometimes you may have to test something to find it doesn't work and then backtrack to fix it to make it fit together. Unfortunately, some of these areas are not exact sciences. The way one person does it may not work for you because you work in a different way. So there is this ecosystem behind which fits in with the operational side of the business as well as maybe the finance aspect. Obviously, as you're running your business, you're now going to have to be managing your cash flow, which for some people is not something they've had to deal with themselves. They get paid, they go home, they do what they want, they go back to work. It's not quite the same as that when you're running your own business. You've got to make sure, have I got the money in to pay the mortgage? Is the tenant paying? Have I kind of got to chase them? You're kind of suddenly becoming a debt controller to make sure things are coming in, as well as a credit controller to kind of go, they've not, I've got to do debt collection now. And then you've got to be a payroll clerk because you've now got to be a purchaser's clerk because you've now got to put all your expenses into your system, and then you've got to make sure your bills are paid. Now, the great thing, I suppose, about property is a lot of these go on direct debits. So apart from monitoring what is being taken out of your account, which is kind of crucial to make sure they don't take too much, but you've not got to remember to pay the invoices. There's probably only a few, maybe maintenance and supplies like that you've got to actually physically pay. But these are all aspects that you probably go, no one necessarily tells you these are the realities of actually running your business. If you're getting loans, mortgages, things like that, you're going to have to deal with all the paperwork and make sure you're keeping all of that paperwork in a good format. So however boring it sounds, you need a good filing system, which is maybe not what someone has told you when you're investing in property, but that's kind of your finance, your operations side of your business. You need to have a filing system, whether that be an electronic folder system, whether that be a paper file system. Maybe it's a mix of both, which I have to say is what I have because I get paper invoices. You can scan them on if you want, so it goes all digital. We tend to do a mix of both, so we've got some paper, mostly digital these days. But then how are you keeping it? Have you got a OneDrive with Microsoft? Have you got an email account? Are you keeping it just on a laptop? Are you keeping it on Google Drive or some of these different areas? So that kind of leads us very nicely onto your IT systems, your backup, which again, within your business, you need to be looking at this side of things to go, well, if my laptop got stolen, where's the backup of all the data that I've got on the laptop? Is it stored online? So in essence, it doesn't matter about the laptop. I can access it from any device. Or is it that actually everything's on that laptop, and if that laptop got stolen, you've got a problem. You need to potentially be getting a hard drive backup to take a copy on a regular basis. How regularly do you need to be doing it? Then becomes the question. Obviously, within the finance side of things, it's not completely finance, but we kind of may need to look at things like GDPR, which is the General Data Protections Regulations, which came in a number of years ago to replace some old data protection provisions that were in place. But this is all about protecting client data. So this is where you may need the policies, the procedures of how are you keeping your data secure, what firewalls, what virus software, what anti-hacking have you got in place to protect your data. So you may think, oh, that doesn't apply to me. Well, you're in business. This applies to you. Now, it may just be a very simple thing that your laptop is only online, very limited. So by the fact that it's not turned on, the fact of them trying to hack your data on your laptop is very difficult when it's not connected to the web, when it's turned off. But when it's turned on, how have you got those things that are protecting your kind of your space online and stopping people from getting access to it? So it's all of these IT side of things that you may also need to be thinking about and have appropriate policies in place. Now, I appreciate I've got a business with a team of 20 and we have all of this documented down because we need to have it documented with the number of people we have in our team. But it's not necessarily a bad thing to start getting some of these policies in place at the beginning of your journey to enable, as you do grow and expand and potentially do take people on, this will then enable you to have them in place for when they join, so they can be looking at what is in place for your business. So this leads us nicely down the route of employees, that you may end up needing to employ someone. So maybe that's a lettings manager, maybe that's a handyman. Now you have employees. So now you're going to be responsible for these employees, to have to pay them each month. That's the finance side. That's probably the most important thing to them, that you pay them. But you need to be aware of national minimum wage. You need to be aware that you've got to pay them a pension if they're an employee under auto enrolment. As well as that side of things, we also have the employment law side of things, which is all about whatever the different rights are, and there's quite a lot of different things you have to do. You need to have employment contracts in place. So if you are looking at taking on people, there's an area that you need to be aware of to make sure you're complying with all the different areas and statutory requirements, from minimum, maximum hours to minimum wage to annual holiday entitlement to the flexible working, flexi time requirements that you have to be able to provide. This is not to scare you into not employing someone. It's just for awareness, so that as you do come to think, if you think I've been in a job and this is what I get, you as the business owner, if you're going to employ someone, you need to have assessed what can you offer, how are you going to offer it, what you're going to be giving to them. So there's a few areas in the HR that you may need to just have an awareness of. That then kind of moves me on to being able to expand your business to get to a point where you might actually want to take someone, whether it be an admin, maintenance, lettings. There's a whole host of different people that may be able to come in and help you if you want to employ them. You may start with subcontractors, so you've not necessarily got all of that stuff to deal with. You're mainly managing people, and it's just getting the best out of them. So to get to that point, you've got to market, you've got to expand your business. So this is where you may need to have some sort of marketing strategy. You may need to sit down and actually know, well, what am I trying to achieve? Is it that you want 20 buy-to-lets, or is it that you want some new build developments? Depending on which direction you're taking, will kind of ascertain what you need to be marketing for. So who is your target market? Who is your avatar? What are you trying to actually bring into your business? What are you trying to attract? So that would then say, are you doing marketing leaflets? Are you putting things on socials? Have you got a website? Now, you don't need any of that, or you might need all of it. But that's something that you need to be assessing as the business owner to see what is going to be the right route for you and your business. Now, on a day-to-day basis, you are then going to have to, once you've got your strategy, when you know what you're doing, this is then implementing. And the operational side of the business is all about implementing and having the right procedures, the right systems in place to make sure things happen. So whether it be on a monthly basis, you have a gas cert check. Is there any gas certs in the next month? Have I got my social media set up of what I'm going to be posting on what days? All of these different areas of what you need to be kind of planning into your day, planning into your diary to make sure everything is happening as it should be as you move forward. Which then leads me into kind of the final area we discussed at the beginning, which was business development, of where are you planning on taking your business? This is kind of the longer term strategy, which I know when we all go in, oh, I just want to buy some property, but actually, what is the goal? Is it an income target? Is it a number of properties target? What was the original goal? How are you going to achieve it? And the business development is very much to do with strategy. It's to do with how are you going to do it? What time frames? To give you a bit more target, a bit more focus, rather than, oh, I'll do something. You always tend to find, and it's amazing how it happens, because I honestly at times don't know how it actually happens. When you do start writing down what you want to be achieving, for whatever, you seem to get there. And I'm not going to say you always get there in the way you're expecting, or quite always in the time frame that you're wanting. But if you've written it down, if you've got that goal, if you've got some sort of strategic approach of how you're approaching it, there is this magic in the world that seems to help you get there. Whether it's an invisible thought in your head that you know you've written it down, so it's stuck there in your head, and every time you make a decision, that decision is focused towards achieving that, whether you realise it or not. But there is definitely a lot of evidence out there to suggest if you have some sort of strategy, you put some sort of longer term goal in place, and your business development side of things is really starting to kind of make you think about that and make you put those in place, it really kind of hopefully will get you to that point. Whether in that 1 year, 2 years you may have originally set, it might be 3, 4 years, 5 years, but it will get you there. And that is probably the main thing for your business, to get you to where you were originally set up. Running a business, unfortunately, is not the easiest thing in the world. But as they always say, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Everybody isn't doing it because it's not easy, but it can be definitely very rewarding. I'm not going to say there are not days with a lot of challenges, and anyone who's been running a business more than a little while will definitely know, and we've been running our business at Shapcots for over 40 years now. I have been around, but not quite running the business for that period, but I've been running our business for a good 10 years now, and there have definitely been days where you would quite happily stay in bed or walk out the office, get back into bed, because it's just one of those days. But then there's also been those really rewarding days where you just see everything is moving forward, everything is happening how you want it to happen. So I would definitely say be aware of some of these other things. These are the areas you probably want to get some training on, some support, speak to other business owners of how they're dealing with things, because we're a community of business owners. You're not by yourself, and the more you talk to different people, you'll get ideas of their experiences, how they've dealt with it. Potentially for some of the software and things, you can talk to them about what they're using, why they're using it. Would that work for you? So you're not alone as a business owner is where I'm going to finish today, but keep asking questions, keep talking to other business owners, and that will help you hit the success that you are working towards. Hopefully today you've got an idea of some of the other business areas that you need to be aware of when running your property business. If you have any questions, then please leave a comment. There's so many different areas when you're running a business that please do let me know what other areas you are interested in. Please like the video and do subscribe to the channel. And let's make tax less taxing. Let's make tax less taxing.